Hello, everyone. Here we are. I'm Christiana Gaudet, live on my YouTube channel, and tonight I am coming to you from the conference room. We got people here. Say hello.
Hello.
We got people here. Sounds like we've got people coming on in. Welcome, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, happy to see you. How are you?
Good.
Thanks for being here.
Hi.
Hi. There's cookies and veggies in the kitchen.
Sure.
So help yourself.
Thank you.
So we are live on YouTube,
All right.
and those are our comments there, so we can all see our comments. So welcome, everybody. So we're here to talk about love. And obviously we're doing this in honor of Valentine's Day. And we were just talking before we started. We were just talking about the fact that it is, Dave's like, hey, where's our cookies? Here, come here and get your cookies. The stereotype and maybe the fact, and I'd love to hear from all of you online and in the room, do you think it's the fact, is the idea of people coming to tarot, either in their own readings for themselves or in readings with others, whether it's casual or professional, asking about their love life. Okay, I'm getting nods over here, yes? And my question is, how helpful is that typically? I mean, I've seen, especially in my own work and in other people's work too, I have seen I feel like it can be very helpful to work out relationship issues with the cards, but to be predictive around love life stuff, I feel like it can be really tough. And so I think it is a weird paradox that we are known as the people you talk to about your love life, and love is the most freaking unpredictable thing in the world, right? Yes. So that's what I want to talk about. And it's so nice to see everyone online. So happy to see you. Special shout out to our channel members. You can tell who they are because their names are in green. And thank you to everyone for being here in the room with me as well. So, and if you haven't met him, this is Aleister Owley. Right here.
Oh, right here.
Yes,
oh,
yes. This is Aleister Owley. He's a meeting owl.
Okay.
And so he'll get trained to your voice, and eventually when you speak, he's coming to you and everyone will get to see your pretty face. So.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Oh.
How good is that? Hey, Cheryl Jefferson, good to see you. You could be here in person, but you're not, but I'm glad you're here. All right, so nice to see all of you. So the first thing I want to do is horror stories. I want to hear, right, it's Valentine's Day, time for horror stories. I want to hear your tarot-related love life horror stories. Did you ever do a reading that went really badly on this topic for yourself or for someone else? Did you ever have a reading with someone else that went really, really badly? I'm also interested in hearing not just the horror stories, but the stories like, when did it go well? Was there a reading that you did and it absolutely panned out? Let's start with some history. So those of you who are coming in on YouTube, get to type in and tell us some stories in the chat room. Meanwhile, the floor is open here in this room for your horror stories. Anybody?
I'm trying to think. I feel like I have had that happen for me personally, where the cards are telling me what you have going on right now isn't working, and this is why it isn't working. And it's so often I'm just like, you're right, what am I even doing here? Why am I even bothering, kind of thing. So
bothering with the cards or with the relationship?
With the relationship. The cards were right,
So that's actually helpful.
It is helpful, but it feels horrible, kind of thing,
Okay, so the horror story there is that the cards are right.
Right.
And it is helpful to see it, but it still really hurts.
Mm-hmm.
Can I offer, and because you're not alone in this, I'm sure that a lot of people have that experience, right?
Right.
Can I offer a technique on that?
Sure.
Whether you're reading for yourself or reading for someone else, if that's the situation, if the situation is, okay, the cards say the person I'm interested in is a douche nozzle and it's not going to work, and why am I even bothering and all of that, and so you're like, oh, boo-hoo. What if you then shuffle and say, okay, where should I put my energy? Or if you really are interested in having a love life situation, what can I do to attract the right person? What qualities would the right person have? And really start asking those proactive questions to turn the reading into something more positive. Peggy Lou, Healing with Tarot tonight on StarCon was rescheduled. We don't have a new date for it, but it was postponed. Amy was a little under the weather. Well, actually a lot under the weather. She's okay though. But was not able to do that. And so it's good to have y'all here. And at some point during the Afterglow, that will be rescheduled. Douche nozzle, it's a new one, yep. What other kind of profanity can I entice you with? Okay, so Angelic Michelle, thanks for being here and thanks for being a member here. The bad experience I had was someone who wanted a certain outcome and I could hear the desperation in their voice. I finally said it might be helpful for them to see a counselor. You know? Go ahead, Tyrone.
I had a situation like that, and I went through several readings with several different decks with the same outcome. And this individual, you just know what they want to hear, but I'm reading cards, not giving advice. And they got upset because I could not tell them what they wanted to hear. And that was a bad day for me. Real bad day.
Yeah, you're getting a lot of agreement from everyone. And you want to hear a story about that?
I can tell you my story, and they're probably intertwined.
So years ago, we used to run a psychic fair, a traveling psychic fair, and in Connecticut and Massachusetts. And a woman came in, and of course it was a love life issue, came in, had a reading with someone, and what came up in the reading is, he's a jerk. She gets pissed off. So she goes to the next reader. Guess what? He is a jerk. She reads with every single one of us. He's a jerk, he's a jerk, he's a jerk, right? We're all in agreement. And so we refunded her money, and she went on her way. 2 months later, she finds our fair, comes back, and pays us our money. Because, guess what?
He was
a jerk.
That's awesome.
So, the thing there, Tyrone, is that in the moment, maybe we can't make him feel better, but we have time on our side.
I'm still waiting.
Still waiting for that one, huh?
I kind of think too, when you have a reading like that, like let's say you get the Tower card, and because it's just not built on a good foundation, there's not good communication. If you have a thing like that, I kind of encourage people to look at what it's saying and say, if you want this to work, these are the steps that you need to do to make it work. If that is not happening, even if you take these steps, then just know this is not going to be a long-term situation.
I'm going to say most people don't want a process. They want right now. What can I go home and say in the thing? We live happily ever after. If you tell them a process, oh, I can't do that, that's too much work, I'm already doing this type of stuff. So.
No, I hear you. And Marion says it's not just with love life, it's anything, telling someone something they didn't want to hear. And, my technique of trying to, end the reading with, okay, well, you're not going to get this. You're not going to get this job, or this isn't working out. But what about this? What about this? What about this? Ask more questions, pull more cards to try to bring in, some kind of positivity for them. And that helps. And Peggy Lou, how do you tell them he's a dick face?
You don't. They'll
You
figure it out.
don't, you don't say dick face, that's for sure.
Not dick face, not douche nozzle, not ass rabbit, none of those things, no.
Yeah.
I was speaking with someone the other day, and it was really clear to me, like, so the process, right, for us is we'll see it in the cards. And so we might start with, so do you have some concerns about the marriage? Are there some things in the marriage that aren't going the way you would like? Yes. Do you feel like the communication is, maybe sometimes angry? There's some anger here. Oh, yes, he's got this terrible anger, and we're in, right? At that point, we're in. And between what I see in the cards and what she's telling me, the only word to describe what she's experiencing and what her kids are watching is emotional abuse. That's the word. And I was like, this sounds abusive. And she's like, oh, I never thought of it that way. And then she thinks and she thinks and she's like, oh my gosh, it really is. And she was here wondering if she should see an attorney. That was really her question. I don't ask for a question at the beginning. I just like to see what I see. But that was the question she had walked in with. And so obviously, but I will always do, and unless they're adamant, I will always do a can this marriage be saved? Like, what can you do to fix this? And sometimes the answer is, well, what you have to do is always agree, do exactly what this person says, and just be sweet about it for the rest of your life. And if you want to do that, there it is. There it is, right? And Jeannie has some love for the owl. Yeah, it's a cool device for sure, for sure. So Marian, if her reading is always about the client, putting them at the center of the conversation, it empowers them no matter what the cards are. Although, as you say, maybe they don't feel so good until later. And Jeannie, saying something is abusive is pretty strong, so you would have to be pretty sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. And there it is. Chriswell, I did a reading with Urban Tarot and got an extremely violent 3 of Swords. Broken glass and bleeding razor blade in a bathtub. Well, there you go. So when we talk about the reading horror stories, I'll tell you what mine are primarily from early days when I was first a professional reader, looking at the cards, and it's all freaking unicorns and rainbows. I just met this person. I've never felt this way before. And the cards are like coming up, 10 of Pentacles and 10 of Cups and all these great cards. And I'm like, oh, you found your true love. This is great. And they come back 2 weeks later. He just dumped me.
Because that was how she was feeling.
Exactly.
Boy, did I learn that lesson the hard way. And so I've recognized love is unpredictable. I have seen relationships that look great at the beginning that don't last. I've seen relationships that I didn't think were going to make it. People are unpredictable. Love is unpredictable. And so then the question is, how do you look at a relationship? I think all we can do is look at what people are feeling right now. This is what we're seeing right now. And what can you do to nurture this relationship? And, I will occasionally, I have people who call me up from their dating sites. I'm talking to 5 people. What do you see for each one of these?
Yeah.
And there are some people who don't want to invest unless they're sure it's going to be like, if this one's not the one, I'm not going to talk to them. Right? And I have to say to them, it just doesn't work that way. Because you got to try. And so I'll divide it into try, don't try, don't try, don't try. And that's the best we're going to be able to do, right? So now, when we look at tarot and when we look at love, I think that tarot does have a lot to teach us and to say and to help us where love is concerned. Marion, nice to see you. Marion K. Tarot. Sometimes as a reader, you have to be cruel to be kind. Plus, the client has to be ready to hear the actual message as opposed to what they want to hear. And I think you can judge their openness, and there are some people you can kind of go deeper with than others. Peggy Lou says, I will tell people if they're children, I suggest marriage counseling. Yes, absolutely. And in fact, in the situation that I was telling you about, we absolutely talked about marriage counseling, yes. After 2 years, my marriage counselor actually said, it's time for you to call your lawyer. Right? Irene, nice to see you. I tell my client about strengths and weaknesses of a relationship, the red flags. That is very good, and we're going to do some exercises around that later on. But first, let's turn our attention to the cards, and remembering that the cards are not only tools of divination, and not only tools of magic, but also a book of spiritual wisdom. That each card has a spiritual message for us about something, a spiritual lesson for us about something. Which are the cards? If you can go through your deck, and those of you coming in online, again, I want you to chat on in. Tell me about a particular card and what its message is about love. And for those of us here, let's go through the cards and find the messages of love. And I want to also remind us that there are many kinds of love. The early Greeks had like a bunch of words for love, right? There's storge, there's agape, there's eros, there's philios, all different kinds of love. And in English, when we talk about love, we just have this one word, but we recognize that love isn't just a romantic thing. Chriswell, man, you're finishing your story about your Three of Swords. Wow, I can't see anything worse. One of you might really not survive this. He had committed suicide a few months prior, right?
Oh.
Right. Got it. And Clumsy Clairvoyance, nice to see you. I always try and tell ones I'm reading for, always, always, always keep in mind the power and freedom of choice, because things can change in an instant. Right, it's always about free will at the end of the day. So which cards do you see as specific lessons about love? I'm going to start talking about, maybe this is an obvious one, the Lovers. So the Lovers is a really interesting card because it's called the Lovers, and the picture in the weight image is Adam and Eve. But the Lovers is not a card of water, which would signify love, or fire, which would signify passion. The Lovers is related to Gemini, and its element is air. And so what is the lesson of the Lovers? That relationships are going to be about choices and communication. That you can have passion, and you can have romance, and you can have emotion, and you can have all of those things, and all of those things are good. But at the end of the day, for a relationship to work, it's about your choices, and it's about communication. So there's a lesson. Anyone in the room have one so far? Okay, go ahead, Terry.
I like the Fool card for love, and the reason why I say that is because I think it's a leap of faith. And I think you have to be, as a child would, where you're understanding, accepting, and nurturing and growing. So I like the Fool card for love.
Yeah, I like that too. It just reminds me, I can't even remember the name of the song anymore, but like I think that is the name of the song, is Fools Rush In.
Wise men say only fools rush in, but I can't help falling in love with you. That's perfect.
Yeah.
What do you have?
I have a few here. One that I thought was kind of a little maybe contrary is the Nine of Swords.
Mm.
Because I feel like it really speaks to like a love lost and grief, which, you know, you don't feel grief unless you felt love, right? So it's a bittersweet kind of love, but that was the one that popped out to me.
Sure.
Like, I feel like that needs to be said.
Sure, absolutely. Although, I'm going to challenge you on something. You don't feel grief unless you felt love. I would say sometimes we feel grief because we fell in love with the person we thought they were
True.
and not really the person they are.
I agree with
So was that really love? It certainly caused grief. We certainly felt something that felt like love. But was it really love?
Sure. Yeah, definitely. I guess I'm thinking more of a fraternity, or maybe like, yeah, like a familial type of love.
Oh
with that
gosh,
thing,
right,
too.
like when you, right.
Yeah, you were speaking about all different types of love, and that was the one that came up
Oh my
for me.
gosh, yeah. That is, you know, even in my own experience, I would say losing my mom was the most painful thing I've experienced in my life, and you know,
Yeah.
and yes, obviously I loved her.
Right.
Absolutely, and I think that's an interesting thing too. It's a way of looking at grief that allows us to acknowledge grief, but also celebrate the love we had,
Right.
and that's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Tyrone, what you got?
I got this Two of Cups. Like you were saying with this, the lovers, I think that lovers is on a high spiritual level. But these Two of Cups, to me, it's physical. You could reach out and touch and show someone, but whereas with the lovers, to me, that's something that you would desire to have. But with this, you could show it with the Two of Lovers, because with me, it's physical.
So I love the Two of Cups, and I love that in the weight image, it's got a caduceus, which is, you know, the medical sign, the sign of the chakras. And I think about that as like the healing power of love. You know, that love can heal us.
It's something it's real. You feel real.
So here's a question about the Two of Cups. Can the Two of Cups be non-romantic? Can it be a friendship? Can it be a business partnership with someone that you love? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat. So Claire C., nice to see you. And once again, a shout out to all the members, those whose names are in green. I really appreciate your support of this channel. The devil for physical attraction or addiction to another. Yeah. Now that's a great question. Can the devil ever come up to talk about a healthy relationship? If the devil is there, as regards a relationship, is there any way that relationship could indeed be helpful? Okay, Terry says yes. Go ahead.
I think it depends on where the person is in their life. So let's just say that you have a divorced woman that's not really looking to have a life of going back into what she had before. Maybe she just wants to have a passionate, no holds barred love life. And so what? There's nothing wrong with that. That's healthy if that's what she wants in her life.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That may be what she wants, but she won't get that because.
And why is that, Tyrone?
Let's get schools.
If you are having an affair in contrast with a relationship, and most divorced women have affairs that they would like to feel is a relationship, but when it comes to them in reality that this is something to do, that's when problems come, and serious problems.
Well, okay, so let's qualify, like affair that involves cheating, right? But what if it's just a casual relationship between two adults who are otherwise single?
It's always going to lead to a problem.
Really?
Really?
I do.
Really?
I think it depends on the person. Again, it depends on the person.
So this is a great question. Can two people have, I'd like to take a vote on this. Do we think that sometimes two people, adults, otherwise single, could have a casual relationship, an ongoing booty call?
Yes, they're single, but you were talking about a divorced woman. She's single, but she's been married all her life, and she's grown comfortable and accustomed to saying, well, I have my husband. But when you become divorced and you start looking on a dating site, you're going to get some stuff that, oh yeah, we could do this, we could travel the world and be the best of friends. But once you get involved, you find out that it's a whole bunch of stuff that they would tell you.
So you feel like people will always develop a
Manipulate.
greater
They will
attachment.
manipulate you. They will manipulate.
All right. Okay, so let's see what we've got going on here. Scrolling back. Okay, so V, Six of Cups, love returning in a blessed way. How many people see the Six of Cups sometimes as a reunion with someone from the past?
The Six of Cups is also an apology for something that happened in the past. And it took me a while to realize that, because a Six of Cups will pop up and you don't know what's this six is. Something, but it's an apology, because like in the Rider-Waite, you got this taller guy with this little child. So he is apologizing for something that probably happened earlier.
So we're going to go back to the Six of Cups, because I'll have some questions for you about that card. Cheryl, the Lover's first choice. Hey, Michelle from Toronto, nice to see you. Chriswell, Lovers is a weird love card. They're not looking at each other, right? He's looking at her, she's looking at the angel. Disco Bunny, Kristen, nice to see you. Grief is love with nowhere to go, Five of Cups, right? Dave, I like strength as being a kind of love.
Oh, I picked that one too.
Yes, I love that, in that she uses compassion and tenderness to control the beast. Strength is not just a macho thing. Yeah, we got a lot of nods here. I think we all agree with that. Clumsy clairvoyance. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was just thinking, because in the Thoth deck, the strength card is the lust card, actually.
Oh,
so there's that
right.
parallel.
Right. Oh, good. Good
So,
call.
yeah, I pulled that one out myself.
Yeah. And there is that thing there about controlling the beast, and if the beast is lust, how does that show up?
Look, I was thinking about that lust and that strength, because when you lusting for something, you have the strength to go through with it. And I would think that strength is a good one. It's a very good one.
And I also look at strength as ego. And I think a lot of people, their biggest problem in relationships is ego. And if you can tame your ego, you can have much better communication.
Yeah. Strength is my do not be a bitch card, which is also helpful in a relationship, to refrain from being a bitch, right? Okay, let's see. Clumsy clairvoyance. I like the judgment card on love readings, because it can mean quite a few different things, but usually it's about closure or getting resolve in regards to a relationship. Absolutely. Mix you here. Michelle, is there a tarot spread we're following? No. We're talking about the lessons of love that we find in the cards. So of the 78 cards, find a card that teaches a lesson of love. And Jean Mnuchin, Two of Cups is also balance between forces. Sure. And Peggy Lou, Two of Cups, emotional connection. And Ani, I think we're talking about the devil here, a healthy sex life. Well, this is the thing. I feel like you could be a married couple, perfectly happy, and the devil could come up. And 9 times out of 10 in a reading, the devil, when it comes up for marriage, is not a good thing. We're looking at addiction. We're, not a good thing. But once in a while, it will be, man, this is a couple that's been together for 20 years, and they are still rocking it in the bedroom. And the devil will do that, So I think that could be. Tyrone, were you going to say something?
I have nothing to say on that.
Okay, and let's see, Angelic Michelle. I see the Two of Cups in a work reading as a good partnership, but also possibly an office romance, right? Claire C, Two of Cups can be anima and animus balancing in the self, Jungian. Okay. Cheryl Jefferson, Four of Wands, happy ever after, Two of Cups, mutual love. Sure. Okay, we see your comment, Dave, but I'm not breaking the swear jar on that large. I'll say douche nozzle, but I'm not breaking the swear jar on that. Oh, and mix here. Yes, friends with benefits is wonderful. So we have some disagreement in the room around what's possible in relationships. And I think this is really important because when you're doing a reading for someone, if you come into a reading as a reader, either casually or professionally, with this sort of sense of these are the rules, right? A person of this type can never do this, or this will never work. And we all have those beliefs, we all have those things, like I was raised where if he hits you, you got to be out the door, that's, without question. But when we bring common wisdom to the tarot table, once a cheater, always a cheater. There's another one you hear all the time. You might believe that. But should we bring that wisdom to readings? I would say no. I would say we have to do our readings absent of those belief systems because that's not what we're there for.
Right. Well, and I feel like those, like once a cheater, always a cheater brings this judgment and, this person is no longer able to heal. Like we can't allow for them to like have made mistakes in the past. I don't think it's helpful for like if say the seeker is seeing that person, then they're like, oh well, okay, they said that they cheated on me and now like I can never be with them again. Like that's how it has to be. They cheated on me once and they'll always cheat kind of thing. But
no, absolutely. I think there always has to be room for the possibility of forgiveness, that kind of thing, depending. And I think we have to be careful too about gender-based judgments. All men are this way. All women are this way. And we may have those in our own hearts. We may have those in our conversations with friends. But at the table, I don't think there's any space for that.
I agree.
Right? Ideally. Okay, and Angelic Michelle says, yeah, it depends on the person. And so, like, I would disagree, Angelic Michelle. Women are more prone to developing attachments than men. And that is the stereotype.
Yeah.
And there's a reason for that because of chakras. The idea that male sexuality is seated in the root chakra, where a man, if he can't get laid, will feel like he's going to die. And female sexuality is in the sacral chakra, where it is about developing connection. So there's some truth to that, Michelle. You're absolutely right. But on the other hand, I have known men who are absolutely sacral chakra bound when it comes to, they're not like that. And I've known women who can absolutely just get laid. So I think it really does depend on the person. Okay, so now I do want to say something here when we're looking at these different cards and what they mean. Jean has 3 of Cups, joy, celebration, friendship, feminine energy. Absolutely. Betty, strength, love for your pet. I often see that in the strength card, right? Yeah. But the assignment was not just which cards speak of love, but what are the lessons about love that we find in the cards. So, for example, with that 9 of Swords, the lesson was, if there's grief, you can celebrate the love that you had, or learn something about the love that you had. With the Lovers, a relationship depends on choices, and which one of us has always made good choices in love, right? Choices in communication. So looking at the lessons, and I think strength has a lot of lessons in terms of you got to have the lust, but the lust has to be under the control of gentle compassion. It can't be the other way, right? So where do we see lessons in the cards?
I see that somebody said the moon. I'm kind of curious.
Yeah.
Okay, let's take a look and see what we see.
Irene there, Irene.
Okay. So mix you here, Michelle from Toronto. Hear me out, 6 of Swords. Refuge card. Mom taking beloved child to safety in an unknown future, the ultimate in love, in my opinion. I am with you. And if you ever hear Ciro Marchetti speak, if he speaks about his cards, he will often talk about his Six of Swords, where he and his mother did escape a difficult situation and go to a different country to escape a bad situation. And that really was his story. And he puts that in his Six of Cups. His Six of Swords, excuse me. So yeah, absolutely. And so now let's talk about this Three of Cups. Clumsy clairvoyant sees it as flirting or cheating, many times in relationship readings, depending on the other cards and questions asked. And so this is an interesting thing, and this is a good lesson. The Three of Cups could be people having fun and enjoying each other in friendship. The Three of Cups could be cheating. The Three of Cups, I saw the Three of Cups once for a cop who had lost his badge because of drunk driving. And that was the Three of Cups, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Right? Too much partying. I saw the Three of Cups once. It was a woman who lived within a separatist lesbian community. And the Three of Cups described her entire life, just all women. Mm-hmm. And there it was. So we remember that each card, like there's no always with tarot, right? Each card can mean so many things in so many different situations. So Kathy Lee sees the Ten of Cups, happy, loving family forever. So that's such an interesting one. Because I see the Ten of Cups as the happy ever after card. And yet there are those who will look at that card and say, yeah, you think it's going to be happily ever after, but will it really? And that's where, like, can we ever guarantee happy ever after?
Right.
Yeah. I don't think we can. We can say, the chances are good.
Outlook is good.
Outlook is good, so far so good. And these are the things you need to remember. And, we'll talk about all of that. Angelic Michelle, Three of Cups is a family of choice. And Michelle from Toronto, Three of Swords reversed can also be about love, right? The healing of the heart.
Sure, right.
The healing of the heart.
Self-love? Self-love?
Self-love, absolutely. Oh gosh, I just overscrolled. Now I've underscrolled. Where are we? Okay. Ani, I agree with leaving out common wisdom because not everyone believes in those sayings and many people are coming to a tarot reading with a need for healing rather than judgment. And when we talk about love readings, we have to talk about, the judgment card, but now I'm just talking about judgment, not the judgment card. And, when we get together in groups of tarotists, when we hang out in online tarot groups, there's a lot of memes and conversations that really sort of talk about, excuse me for saying it, but the stupid client, where like that one where the cards are just arranged and the letters dump him, It is funny. It is funny. But at some point, I think we get to this place where we've seen the same story in different people over and over again. And I think we have to be really careful about that. That just because you've seen that same story doesn't mean that this story is going to end the way that story did. And you have to show up in compassion for each person, even if this is the 500th time that you've seen this story. And I think that's something we have to remember. And I think amongst ourselves, if we joke about it, maybe that's just gallows humor and we're blowing off steam and that's fine. But I think we have to remember when that person is sitting at your table or on the other end of the phone, that we don't want to be like, oh God, it's one of those. We don't want to do that.
Because they're vulnerable.
They're vulnerable.
Right.
And as soon as we put them in a category, we may miss something that is different than that, because everyone really is different. And so, these are really, I think, important points about judgment and compassion when reading for others? And can we bring that same judgment and compassion when reading for ourselves?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Right? Right? You know, I have this joke about this thing that, well, I don't know if we'll all admit to doing it, but it's this, okay, I'm feeling really anxious about this. What is the answer? Oh my gosh, no. Let me pull another card. Oh my gosh, that's even worse. You know, and it just turns into this whole thing. So how many people can admit to doing that even within the past 3 months? Right. Do you do that, Tyrone?
No.
You don't.
No, I don't.
Okay, can you tell us the
I do it
secret?
all the time. I'll play cards until I get something that I'm reasonably comfortable with, because I know what the question is, and I know what's going on. Now, if I'm reading for someone else, it might take me a while to really get to what I really want to say. But with me, I know. It's hard for me to fool me.
Sometimes, and this hasn't happened in a long time, but I used to get like the Fool would come up, you know, which I would take as a message of, okay, you just have to trust. And then the Four of Swords would come up, which I would take as a message of like, girl, shut up and give it a rest now. There is no answer for you here.
I want to say something about that fool. In this lady's deck, she had two fools, and I liked how she defined the second fool as you're not going as a complete restart, but you need to check yourself to see what you're doing so you don't have to go back to the first fool. And I always thought that was kind of really nice, but I just found that out within the past couple of months. But I used to get the fool all the time, well, you got to start over. You don't have to start over. You need to stop and regroup, or else you will fall all the way back to where you have to restart.
Sure. So we were looking for a comment about the moon. I haven't seen that
Oh,
yet.
yeah.
It's
Where was that?
right
It's right
there.
there, underneath angelic Michelle.
No. Oh, Irene. Very good. The moon, illusion, certainly. The Seven of Cups, temptations. Ace of Cups, ready to drink love. You know, I see the Ace of Cups as like the healed heart chakra, the open heart. I love the Ace of Cups. Anyone who says, well, you know, the minor arcana is not spiritual, right? Let's look at the Ace of Cups.
Right.
Six of Cups, memories of love. Page of Cups, being excited about love. Five of Cups, addiction to past love. Oh, that's so interesting. So let's talk about the moon. We could talk for hours about the moon. You know, the moon is such an interesting card because it can be about illusion and delusion and lunacy. But I've also seen it as this deeply spiritual card. You know, and it can be about, you know, things are not as they seem. And so, you know, are you really seeing what is there? But it can also be things that happen at night, romantic stuff. Could it be the relationship of your dreams?
Oh, yeah.
You know?
True.
And so here's a card that can mean two exactly opposite things, right? You're being fooled and deluded, or here finally is the person of your dreams,
Right.
or is it? And that's where you have to look at the other cards that come up.
Cards around it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, let's see that. All right. Okay, Peggy likes we should not project our beliefs. Yeah. Hey, La Morena, so nice to see you. Glad you're here. Studies show men fall in love and say it faster, even though both men and women heterosexuals thought women did more. And, you know, and this is the thing, you know, it's like, I really hate to gender stereotype, but there are these studies about men and women. And like, I have to say, like those two readings I did long ago where in each case I was like, oh, look, you found the love of your life. And in each case, the guy ghosted them. And then I realized commitment phobia. that there are people, and it's not always men, it's often men, but sometimes women, who are in love with love. And they love that new relationship energy. They love that feeling. And then as soon as that new relationship energy wears off, they're gone. And they don't have the strength to sort of talk about it, so they just ghost, you know? And can you see that coming in the cards? You know, I now will look for it. I will say to the cards, okay, so you bring to me a new person. I'm seeing this new person. Okay, the cards are good. Looks like it's going well. One of the questions I will ask about that individual is, what is this person's capacity for commitment? And here is sort of like the big point that I want to make about reading about relationships. Supply wise questions. Because the questions that are going to come to you are, is he the one? Is he the one? Or, oh my gosh, we're having problems. Can this work out? Or, you know, whatever. Supply wise questions. And we'll spend some time talking about what those wise questions could be. Let's see. V, justice, legal commitment around love, but also the card of divorce. Right? Could be. Now, what Hierophant can also be a card of marriage because it's the priest, but it can also be a card of a real dictator, sort of a person to be with. Here we go, Jeannie, Ace of Cups lesson. The energy of love is always present and is a teacher in and of itself, regardless of the circumstances. Yay, that's what I wanted to see. Gina, Seven of Pentacles, reevaluating whether or not it's worth continuing to move forward in the relationship, weighing the pros and cons, really looking at where things are. Oh, Angelic Michelle, not only will you go for different cards, but different decks in the anxious tarot reading, right?
Right.
And Clumsy Clairvoyance, I also like the Fool as a lesson card in love. It can indicate literally being a fool too many times, but other times not being willing to stumble and fall. Right? And you have to be willing to take that risk. Like, you know, I think as you said, the lesson of the Fool can be take the risk. Okay, let's see. Dave, women can absolutely be commitment phobic. Yes, absolutely. Angelic Michelle, I can see the moon is lighting the path out of the illusion, right? Okay. Cheryl, when I'm doing readings for a close family member or friend about love, I find it difficult to read the cards when I'm too close to the outcome.
Oh, yeah.
Sure. That's hard. Okay. How about justice as a final outcome in a reconciliation reading? I would want more cards. Because that could either mean, oh yes, you will come to a fair balance and a fair agreement, or divorce.
No, I'm going to say if it was judgment, I would say yes, but not justice.
Not justice,
it's
right?
an agreement with justice.
Okay. All right. So what have we learned? We've learned that when we look at the cards, we can find lessons about love. So I'd like to do an exercise. Did you have any other love cards? I see you have a few cards out there.
No, I kind of was trying to also keep track.
Okay. Anyone else have any love lessons they'd like to share? I want to talk about the Six of Cups. So, and this is going to bring up something that I know is going to make some people angry. I apologize in advance. And this is going to cause me to use language that I don't like to use ever, especially not in readings. There are people who see the Six of Cups as the soulmate card, the person that you're meant to be with. Now, in a reading, first of all, I don't like the term soulmate. I don't like to use it. Once in a while, I'll be in a reading where I see such a profound connection, where I have to say something, there's really a profound connection.
Sure.
And then there are those karmic connections that maybe are a past life thing, and the Six of Cups can talk about past life stuff as well. But we all know those karmic connections do not usually mean anything good in this lifetime.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? And so what do you think about that? What do you think about the word soulmate? And here's my problem with it. I've had too many people at my table having stuck with a bad relationship for years and years and years because some reader said to them, oh, this is your soulmate.
No.
And so they just stick with it. Okay, so that's my one question. And the other question, can the Six of Cups talk about a destined love? And do we ever want to talk about destined love at the table? What do y'all think?
I won't.
You won't?
I won't.
Yeah, because you're smart.
I won't.
Yeah.
It'll create a problem for me. Because someone's going to come and say, I did as you said this was for me. And something bad always happens. Or something bad, really bad could happen. I say no.
There's actually an astrologer that I like to listen to who speaks about soulmates not being like a lifelong connection necessarily, but like it is a soul level connection. And I don't know how to differentiate those two from like a karmic versus a soul. Maybe the circumstances of how the relationship ends being more amicable. I don't know, but
Like a good karmic relationship would never end. It's going to go on. You might have difficult periods in that relationship, but in a current relation, to me, the relationship is the important thing. You want to make sure the relationship stays,
Sure.
through a lot of difficulties.
I guess, yeah, when I speak of karmic relationships, I don't see them, I see them more as like maybe the bad side of karma, which I that is maybe more my bias.
Even with the bad side, it's going to grow. The
Sure.
bad side will be a compromise, and it's going to move forward, and it'll last forever. Not forever, but it'll last through a lot of difficult times.
I kind of think that as we grow through our lives, people will come and go into our life and have that same connection, whether it's a friend, a family member, a lover, that will teach you along the way. It's all part of your path and your journey, and doesn't necessarily mean that it's a person you need to be with forever just because someone told you. Our journey is so wide, and there's so much to learn and grow from everybody we meet.
But it'll last. That type of relationship will last.
Okay, so you've got some love here from Disco Bunny. Amen, Tyrone. A good karmic relationship never ends. See, there you go. So Peggy Lou for the Six of Cups sees nostalgic and memories, but not a soulmate. Cheryl, can the Six of Cups mean a past love will return and begin again in renewed relationship? Yes.
That's the apology.
That's the apology. Yes. Sue, I don't use the term soulmate, and twin flames confuses me too. Yep. Mixture, Michelle. Ew, soulmates, twin flames, yuck. You can be compatible with lots of people, just more compatible with some than others, right? Yeah. And, then there's the thing like chemistry, right? Mm. Chemistry can be so compelling. And okay, so I'm older now, so I don't have as many of those hormones or whatever. But I sure do remember that chemistry, man, you meet somebody and oh my gosh, you want to be with that person forever. You want to be on the inside of them, the outside of them. You want to eat them up. Oh my gosh, they're the most delicious thing ever. Oh my gosh. And that feels so good. And it feels like it's going to last forever. But really, sometimes you just need 3 weeks in a hotel room and you're done.
Right.
And how do you tell the difference? Because I think people will spiritualize chemistry.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is so intense. But, when I first met my husband we celebrated our 20th anniversary this past year. I sure felt that with him. And I still do, So chemistry sometimes will last. Like chemistry will sometimes have love with it and sometimes it won't. And how do you tell the difference? And how do we as readers help people with that? And this is where I feel like we have to supply the questions. You know, that when someone comes in and they say, oh man, I just met someone. And you look at the cards and you look at them and oh, you can see it, man. You can just see they're doing the wild monkey dance in like a really major way. That those are the cards, you know, you want to say, okay, well, there's chemistry. We see chemistry. But then is there really compatibility? And is there longevity? And, you know, what are the things? You have to be able to ask questions and pull cards. I think that's really what it comes down to, and be willing to supply those questions. So that's what I think. Betty, chemistry could be the magician. Yes, I think the magician can very often talk about chemistry. So let's see. Where are we? Okay, Claire C., ancient friends. Right, someone that you knew in a past life? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, something else that has come up in this conversation is we have different nomenclature. And in fact, Tyrone and I were talking about Nancy Hendrickson earlier. I was on the phone with her today, and we were talking about different words like angels, spirit guides, you know, all these words that we have completely, depending on your culture, depending on the words you use. And so that's something we really have to think about as tarot readers, that we're all going to have different words for things. And like when we talk about karma, I'm not Hindu, you know? I got no clue what karma really is. It's not part of how I was brought up. It's not the culture that I was brought up in. And so when we here in the West have these conversations about karma, we're all going to have our own sort of view about it, and it's going to mean different things. I had a client yesterday. Her big question was about her ex, who she has a child with. Is he going to get his karma? And am I going to see it? You know, and I was like, I think you're mistaking karma for vengeance. Like your vengeance.
A lot of people do.
Well,
Yes.
They want
Yeah.
good karma. They want revenge.
Yes.
I gotta get you, and I'm going to get you. Put a spell on you.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, Jeannie Mnuchin, very good. Six of Cups can also mean a problem or pattern from the past that is affecting the present. Absolutely. Dave, relationships can last forever, but not be romantic during that stretch. They can change to friends or colleagues. And I think that can be within a lifetime or from lifetime to lifetime. Okay. Yeah, Nancy is fabulous. We love her. Irene, all love relationships can have different lengths. We have many contracts for life. Sure. V, which cards in the outcome position can mean a reconciliation? Six of Cups, sure. Three of Cups, sure. 10 of Cups, 2 of Cups. I think any of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any of those, yeah. And so I feel like when we talk about safety and good ethics, we might be good never to predict that a relationship would last forever. But what could we do instead? We could say, okay, these are the things you need to do to give this relationship its best chance. Baby cakes, chemistry clouds our judgment. Yup. The later relationships can go either way. Hopefully it is the right person, but sometimes they can be complementary wrong for us. Yup. Dave, karma can be like heaven, hell. We all want to see the bad actor get justice due to him, her. Every religion sells that to the emotionally needy, but is that really karma? I don't think that's what karma is. I think that's sort of our Western misunderstanding of it.
Right.
Hey, Angelic Michelle, thanks for being here. Good to see you. Okay, Sue, karma, what goes around comes around. Cast your bread upon the water and it will return threefold. So that is a Western concept of karma. if you ask someone from India, what they're going to tell you is karma is the fabric that your soul is woven into. And it's like it's so much more than just that pitch and catch. It's a whole fabric. So that's a piece of it, but it's not the whole thing. And I can't understand or explain the whole thing because I'm not Hindu.
However, I feel like that is their way of life. They not, I don't want to say fear karma, but they live a life where they want to keep balance. Because
Right.
without balance, there's repercussions.
Sure. Which, and okay, so balance. I mean, can we, talking about that, balance is such an interesting thing and shows up in so many tarot cards. I mean, think about how many cards speak of balance. That's an interesting thing. Claire C., could a 3 of Wands reverse speak of the doldrums in a relationship? No wind in the sails. Sure. And the Ace of Wands reversed, a great need for Viagra. Jeannie, yes. Clients may also have different belief systems than you. Yes. I would think it's important to match the energy, if not the language, when speaking to someone. I use that in teaching. I'm not a reader. Right. No, it's absolutely true. So if someone comes in, with a particular, I'll use different language. Reading for a Wiccan client, I'm going to talk about the goddess. Reading for a Christian client, we're talking about Jesus. Right? I mean, there it is. And Cheryl says you can't cast spells, Tyrone.
I just did.
Watch out, Cheryl, watch out. Okay, let's do an exercise. Pick up all your cards and shuffle them. And everyone online, do this and chat in. I want to know the card you got and, okay, here's the, don't just chat in the card. You also got to say what you think about it. So the question is, reading for yourself personally, what lesson do I need to learn about love right now? You're going to pull one card, just one card. And, oh, V, this is great. I am Hindu, but I still don't understand karma, especially when someone says one is paying for their past lives. But I do believe in doing good, being peaceful within. Thank you for that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. So, one question. What lesson do I need to learn about love? One card, interpret that card in this context. The lesson. What is the lesson I need to learn right now? Go ahead and chat it in, the card you got and the lesson you're learning. Okay, Terry is laughing.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Okay, so I'm freaking out because I got the 9 of Swords.
I didn't get a good one either.
And I am dealing with some grief right now, and that's, thank you, so yeah, recognizing that I have to be present for my grief because it does mean that there is love there.
Yeah.
So, yeah. That totally makes sense.
Lesson.
It is. Okay, Terry, what you got?
The 10 of Wands.
10 of Wands. So what's your lesson?
Actually, I think this lesson is, by looking at my picture, I think this is my husband, because he's struggling right now with a lot of things from work, way too stressful. So I think I'm the deer in the back, the patient in the prairie waiting to help him carry the load if he needs it.
Okay, fair enough. So the lesson is to be patient with your partner's struggles.
Right.
That's a good lesson for all of us. I like that.
Yeah. Well, and then I was thinking about like being at the end. It's like you're never really at the end of love. Are you? Like if you are in a like lifetime long relationship, you're always working on it, right? Mm-hmm. And like that's what I feel the 10 of Wands kind of like tells you is that like you're always going to be working, and that love is work. It is work.
Yeah, love is work. It absolutely is. Okay, what do you got?
I got strength, and I feel that I maybe need to be more compassionate with my partners, because I am a bit like, I want them to be one way and they're not, and that disconnect is really difficult for me. So
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, and yeah, that totally makes sense. Tyrone.
I have a 10 of Pentacles.
Okay, and what's your lesson?
And from the image, just take it easy, and I give people the benefit of the doubt. I let them get away with way too much. So I shouldn't let people get away with as much as they do.
Oh, now we all have to be afraid.
You should be, I give people the benefit of the doubt when I shouldn't. I look for the best in the worst of situations, and it doesn't work out always.
Okay. Very good. And just your use of they, them.
yes.
I think it is really important when we talk about love to recognize that a loving relationship, a loving partnership is not necessarily always just two people. That polyamory is a thing. And
I also use they, them as a non-binary term.
right, non-binary people are a thing.
Also, as a queer person, like my sexuality is open to so many different genders. So
Right.
yeah.
And I think, especially those of us of a particular generation, like mine, are very used to he and she, and very used to the idea that a relationship is two people. And that is just not the way of the world. And I think the more that we can adjust our thinking and our language, the more people we can reach,
Right.
and the more people that can be comfortable at our table, which is really what it's all about. And I've had a few experiences of reading for like a polyamorous pod, like this relationship of 5 people who all live together. That's like a 2-hour reading.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
But there's a lot there, And or reading for people when they're going through gender discovery,
Right.
and oh man, there's just so much there, right? All right. Okay, so let's see what other people are doing. Okay, Dave. Knight of Pentacles reversed jumped out. I know I'm going to hear about this, but I see it as no money, no honey. If I can't provide, no lady wants to go for the ride. Oh, man.
Wow.
Can we, yeah, you are going to hear about that. Maybe the lesson there, it's a lesson, maybe the lesson is don't think that way.
If he's looking for that, that's what he's going to get. Taken for a ride. If I go in a relationship with you, and I know if I got to spend money on you, I'm going into it with that. And that's what I should expect. But if you go in there and say, we're going to have a good, decent relationship, you get what you ask for, the law of attraction.
Right.
I agree. Irene, 7 of Wands, what do you think the lesson here is for me? A lesson of love with the 7 of Wands, I would want to say it's about defensiveness. If there's a way that you need to be either more defensive or less defensive, how is defensiveness showing up? What do you think,
I like
Tyrone?
the defensive. There's a hesitancy. There's something you're not sure of. You're not sure of him, or you're not sure yourself. But you're hesitating about something.
Absolutely. Christina, the Fool, take a risk, take a leap of faith. Disco Bunny, 2 of Pentacles, it could be fun and adding it into my life would teach me more about the right mix for me. Perfect. Cheryl Jefferson, The World. The lesson is to allow a new world of love. That's beautiful. Kathy Lee, Knight of Cups. I need to be sure and know the man is of genuine character and honor first and foremost. Fair.
I want to say something.
Yeah.
You know that from the start. You would know that. Because if you can't feel comfort with someone, leave them alone. Just don't even get started. You know. It's a feeling, there's an attraction or whatever, or chemistry, whatever you want to call it, if it's going to work out.
So, but here's the thing. Okay, I'm going to argue with you. See, I better be careful. He's going to be casting a spell on me. I'm going to argue with you on that. If a person comes out of an abusive background, and abuse is what they know, the next person they meet, if they feel comfortable with that person, they should run. Because what they're comfortable with is abuse.
It's abuse,
Right.
abuse, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you don't want something, you won't get it. But most women that are in an abusive relationship go to the next abusive relationship.
Yes.
Go to it right on down. Men do it too.
Mhm.
But that's what they're asking for because they seek it.
Right.
But you know right away what type of person it is. It doesn't take a brain surgeon.
I don't think there's anything wrong with being uncomfortable with someone. I think that makes for a much more interesting relationship.
Yeah, I think it depends. Like when we talk about comfort and discomfort, that is a very depends question.
Right.
I think. Okay, so here we go. Chara, Two of Swords. I need to put myself out there more and let go of the fear I have because of past relationships. Right, and you know, Chara, with the Two of Swords, if you're looking at it in a weight deck or a weight clone, they're crossing off their heart and they're blindfolded. And so there is this sense of lead with what you know, not what you feel, not what you see, but lead with what you know in your brain. Trust your brain.
Christiana, they're sitting on that throne of stone. So they're set in their ways. They don't want to change.
Interesting. And Kristen, Disco Bunny, for Dave, back to that Knight of Pentacles reversed, I would see that as timing. Willing to put in the work, but either too much, too fast, too slow, too little. Timing is off. But how is that a lesson? Could that be a lesson of patience or something of that nature, maybe? Jeannie, Nine of Cups. I can look to celebrating the love of friends and community at this point in time, and that's beautiful. That is beautiful. Claire C., Knight of Pentacles. I need to reflect on the ways loving relationships have helped me on my journey. Beautiful. Ani, Queen of Swords, embrace your cougarhood. You go, girl. Lisa Harmon, nice to see you. All love continues even after death. That's beautiful. Betty Fletcher, Four of Cups, to stop being withdrawn and be more open or stop being selfish. La Morena, I love that interpretation of Ten of Wands. That was Terry. Say hi to La Morena.
Hello.
Peggy Lou, Queen of Cups. The lesson is to be more calm and not let hurt feelings drag me down, perhaps, or be responsible for your own emotions. Sue Wilkinson, Five of Pentacles. Let sleeping cups lie. Oh, that's good. That's good. I'm not really relating to this at this point. Very happily married and great relationship. I wonder, if the lesson is, what made that great relationship is the ability, when you're with someone for a long time, there are times you got to love them more than you're mad at them. There's times you've got to look at the positive even when they're not showing you their best self. And you have to trust that they're going to do that with you too. That if you're in a good partnership with someone, they've seen the very worst you can be and you've seen the very worst they can be, and you still love each other. And that's a hell of a lesson. And so this could be, Sue, sort of a pat on the back from the universe saying you've learned that lesson. Okay. Right, so some interesting question about comfort and money and all kinds of stuff. Lisa Harmon, judgment reversed at a stalemate, need to reach inside and pull out the motivation. All right. Okay, so that's a fun exercise. So now I want to talk about, what are the helpful questions? That whether we're reading for ourselves, reading for our partner or partners, whether we're reading for someone else, what are the helpful questions to ask the cards at every stage in a relationship? That's where I want to go next. So let's start with, I'm single. Excuse me. I'm single And am I going to meet someone? That's the question. Am I going to meet someone? And I'm perfectly happy doing that fortune telling because sometimes, you can see it. Yeah, you're going to meet someone. And that doesn't mean they're going to be with them forever. And you have to be careful about that, So I'll pull a couple cards, see what I see.
Mm-hmm.
But what if the answer is there's really nothing coming here? And you don't want to end the reading with, okay, no, you're not going to meet anyone. Go away. We don't want to do that. So then what do you do? What is the question? Could the question be, okay, what do you need to do to manifest a great relationship? What are the qualities you're looking for? What are some other questions? And for those of you online, chat in your questions, but also chat in the circumstance. So for a single person, say single, this is a good question to ask because we got a 20-second lag and we're going to eventually move on to some other circumstances as well. So here in the room, what are good questions to ask the cards for a single person? How about, go ahead.
Oh, I was just thinking definitely like what, why did my past relationships fail?
That's exactly where I wanted to go, looking toward the past, right? What's true about the past?
Yeah.
And what can we learn from the past?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. What else?
If you look to the past, what do you want in the future relationship?
Right.
And
Right.
what type of relationship are you in at this moment, in your words? One word, what type of relationship are you in? Good, bad, indifferent, stuff like that. Don't get into details.
Okay, but for a single person,
Right.
we're talking to a
For
single person.
Don't get into details because some people, single people, are in relationships that have, what you call it, polyamorous.
Oh, sure.
They're in a lot of relationships, and all of them.
Right, so you could be single but also dating. That's a really good point. A person can be single but dating lots of people. Is that, are you still single? Like if you're, okay, that's an interesting question. If you're not committed to anyone, but you're dating a few people, you're on the apps, you're dating people, are you still single? Yeah, you are.
Yeah, you're still single.
Yeah.
But what's the question?
But she would see me with Terry and they say, oh, you all are a couple because I'm with Terry. I don't know, we're not. We're just doing this thing at this time.
Sure.
And it blows out of proportion because I'm not in a relationship with this woman. But you believe this, but I want to be in a relationship with you. But since you already believe this, it's a waste of time. And it's no way you could clarify it.
Sure.
That's the human aspect of it.
Right.
All right, so
But are we asking a question if a person's looking for love?
if a person's looking for love, what are some questions we can ask of the cards?
Are you happy?
Well, and okay, so this is good from Chara. What do I need to heal to be ready for love? I love that.
That's great.
I love that.
What do you need to heal yourself?
Dave, single person, does this person really need a partner to feel whole? And I think that's so interesting.
Yeah.
Because so often it'll show up in your cards. Your single most important relationship is between you and you.
Right.
Right? And we got to come back to that. Baby cakes, what do I need to improve in me in order to attract the right partner? Absolutely. Irene, single, how to happily await for your person to come. Like what to do in the meantime, how to prepare, and what to avoid based on past relationships. Yeah. Smile Soul 20, so nice to see you here. What do I need to learn before I'm in the next dating experience? Yep. And then, Lisa, like if you're either looking at the past or someone that you might be interested in, sometimes single people have someone they have their eyes on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a whole interesting question. Okay, this guy at work, I'm really interested in this guy at work. And that gets you into third-party readings and all kinds of ethical questions. And what do we do with that? If someone says, so there's this guy I'm really interested in, do I have a chance? I'm all for doing that reading, and I know that there are ethical questions associated with it.
Yeah. We had a similar thing come up. A friend and I, we like to do readings for each other, and it's a little off topic, but it was a familial kind of love, asking about what was going on with her cousin's life. And like, she told her cousin about the reading after the fact, and had said like, oh yeah, my friend knew that you had a job. And like, I was like, oh yeah. She even called me up in the middle of, I don't even know what I was doing, but I got this call and I was like, yeah, you did this reading and said this. And, she had said, she was like, oh, I can't believe, kind of that you would do a reading about me without me knowing about it. And I was like, yeah, it does feel like an ethical gray area where like, is that okay?
Some people would say absolutely not, never, ever, 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 and some people are okay with it. It's a personal.
Right.
I think it depends on how the reading's going to, and if you're not trying to cause harm, I don't think that's a problem.
Right.
What's your intention with
Right.
everything?
It's done with love. This is an interesting one from Jeannie. Where does this need come from at this point in time? So I'm looking for love. Am I looking for love because I'm really ready for a relationship? Am I looking for love because I'm afraid to be alone? I've had people who really want someone because they want the financial stability that someone would provide. They want someone, I swear to goodness, someone sat at my table and said, I really need a man to change my light bulbs. I'm like, you could pay someone for that. You don't need a whole relationship for that. No, she was deadly serious. I was like, you could get a handyman, But in her mind, having a guy to do the guy jobs was what she needed.
She didn't want love, she wanted a companion.
Right.
There's a difference between love and companionship too now.
Why can't we use the cards and give a person a general direction of maybe which way they should go? Like in other words, if you do some kind of physical outdoor situation, you might be more prone to meet somebody, depending on the cards. Like, maybe you should take some painting classes because I feel like if you go in that direction, you might meet somebody there.
Where you could meet someone, what you could do to meet someone. That's brilliant. Practical advice.
A lot of people want to sit home and look at their PC and say, catalog shopping and this, that, rather than getting up and getting out in the world and meeting someone that might be for them.
Right.
If you catalog shop, you're going to be sending a lot of stuff back.
So true. So true. Hey, DeAndre, nice to see you. Haven't seen you in a long time. What should I do before my next relationship? Right, absolutely. Okay, so next question. If the person comes in with a troubled relationship, and sometimes it's really obvious this is not working. Sometimes it's obvious that, you should see a counselor. This could work. Why not try this? But what about those situations where the relationship really is looking too good to leave, too bad to stay? We've all seen those relationships. Maybe we've been in those relationships where it's like, I don't know, man. What are the right questions to ask the cards with a troubled relationship in this case? And so go ahead and tag it online, troubled relationship.
Yeah, that question is a little too personal for me. I don't know if I have the answer there.
So what I like to do with that is sort of look at, I'm going to pull more than one card. What is the best this relationship could be? And maybe I'll pull a few cards for that. What is the worst this relationship could be? So here's your parameters. This is the best. This is the worst. So then I might go to, okay, and where are we now? And when we're in our worst place, what brings us there? What brings us to the worst place? And what can we do to get to the best place? And so there, it's not about you should stay or you should go, I think. It's about what are the things you can do to try to get to the best place? And the either said or unsaid thing there is if you try all those things, and you're still not happy, well, then, then you have to look at that.
And couldn't you also, too, do like, well, this is you, and this is your partner. And this is this is your love language, and this is their love language. And so then, because sometimes it's just a matter of that. People are not speaking the same love language. And so if they can understand the other partner, it sometimes works.
Absolutely. And what if someone comes to you and says, Are we going to last? Are we meant to be together? You know, what do you do with that? I mean, my answer is, well, you know, it's not really about what's meant. It's about what works, right? And let's play with that. Let's play with, is this working? So what about the brand new relationship? I've met someone, it's going well, what do you see for it? What are the questions that you would want to ask there? And let's see, okay, troubled relationships. We've got a couple here. What is the vision of client about the partner? Where is the problem related to the family issue? Then just do the healing work. And we could even look at what is the healing work? What is the healing work we need to do? Very good. Chara, troubled. How can we communicate better and understand each other better? Absolutely. Absolutely. And we've got some agreement for Terry regarding love languages. Okay, so now tag it new relationship. New relationship. What are questions to ask about the new relationship? For me, it's very much about who is this person? Let's pull some cards to see who this person is. And that is a third-party reading right there. If you don't do third-party readings, what do you do with that? I think you could just pull some cards. Let's look at the relationship as it is now.
Right.
Let's look at best case potential, worst case potential.
Sure.
And look at, you know, both of those things. What do you think?
You would ask me that.
I would ask you that.
What do I think? Come back to me.
I'll come back to you. Other thoughts on new relationship?
Okay. In a new relationship, I would say it's going to be okay. It's going to work out. You know, how's it going? And it's going to be good. A new relationship. I will tell her that. But if I pull a card that says...
You're just going to tell him that.
Yeah, I want him to be good. If I pull something that says, well, it might be some difficulties, I'll say, you're going to have some issues, but it's a good relationship. Now, you could take it the way you want to take it, but if I say it's going to be a good relationship, you're going to say he's right, but it's going to be problems. There is no good relationship that starts out as a good relationship. Not one. Why you laugh?
I'm laughing because I can see what you're doing there. It's a technique. It's a strategy.
Yeah, right.
I see what you're doing.
It's hard to answer because people think they're in a good relationship, but you know and you feel that this is going nowhere fast. It's spinning wheels and it's going to be a disaster. But being the kind-hearted individual and the gentleman that I am, I'm going to say it's going to work. But the cards will always prove me different if they follow what the cards say, but most people don't.
So you're saying you go into it anticipating that it's going to be good,
Yeah.
and then if the cards prove you different, the cards prove you different. Yeah, actually, I'd probably do that too. Now that I understand what you're saying, I'd probably do that
Would you
too.
accept if I told you something different? You know, this is the reality. It's not going to work, man. It's going to be this, that. It's going to be a lot of issues. But no, you know, I love her, and of course you do. I said that.
You don't know that person. You think you know that person,
Right.
but yeah, you
Right.
really want to like believe in the relationship right away, and like so if you tell them, oh, it's going to be horrible, they don't want to hear that.
No,
Yeah,
and they won't hear it. Spinning your wheels.
And, you know, I really like to take the focus off of outcome and on to what we can do right now. What can you learn? What can you discover? What can we do right now? And there's some great things here in the chat. Can we trust? Are we compatible? Same goals and values? Are you the priority? How mature? You know, all that thing. Are we compatible? Beliefs, family, kids, all the stuff. Yeah, absolutely. And I really like the idea of a spectrum for a relationship or a person, the best it could be, the worst it could be. And then you figure it's going to come somewhere in there. So you were right either way, you know?
Right.
So all those questions that you just mentioned will be answered with a yes. Oh yeah, we're going to be fine. We're going to be wonderful. But 2 weeks down the road, I don't want any parts of you. But you said yes to all these questions, you know?
Right.
I'm curious, actually.
yeah.
So, speaking of like, what's the best scenario? What's the worst scenario? And then, like, say you get the lover's card as the worst scenario. What does that mean? Like,
Work on yourself.
That you're going to have to, there's going to have to be real decisions and real looking at communication. That communication is
Sure.
really going to be a thing. And the other thing with the lovers is, really going back to what La Morena is saying there. What are the other things that are involved in this? Are there pets? Are there children? What are the things that would be part of it? Because the lovers is all about the things that we put together.
sure.
So, questions for a reconciliation reading. Well, here's the thing. If it's one of those situations where you broke up 6 months ago, there's been no contact, but are they coming back? I would do, are they coming back? But if there's no other indication in real life, I wouldn't go any further than that. Here's the question I would ask. Why are you still thinking about a person you haven't talked to in 6 months?
Right.
What's going on with you? Because I'm pretty sure that person is not at their tarot reader's table asking about you. Just saying.
Absolutely.
Unless I saw on the cards that they were. Right? So that's, where I would go. And I think a lot of people will really hang on to this person from their past. And I think we have to look at it because sometimes it does happen. Sometimes people do come back. If it's there, we'll talk about it. If it's not there, then what we have to talk about is why you're still hanging on. And to look at the quality of the relationship, what happened in that relationship. And if you did get back together, what would happen then? What would that look like? Because there are those off and on relationships. The Wheel of Fortune is one that often comes up for me as regards off and on relationships because of the pattern. Like someone will come in and they've broken up and I'll see the Wheel of Fortune. I'm like, this is not the first time you've broken up, is it? We've done this before. So there's that. Irene, reconciliation, think about what attracted you the first time.
I was thinking that same thing.
Yeah, what was that? But also what broke you up the first time. So at this point, as we come to the end of our time together, questions that you might have about the cards, about love readings, what we've come up with here. I think we've had some conversations about ethics, about language, about the different questions we can ask, about the way the cards can speak. We've talked about a bunch of different things. Any particular questions here or online about this topic? And I think, basically I would end with love is unpredictable. Love is more than just romance. And when in doubt, ask more questions, pull more cards. And always come at it with compassion. Do not assume, like when we talk about reconciliation, you could see it in me. I'm like, oh God, not that question. But that's a bad response from me because that's a legit question. And so you just saw me go through it. We all have it. That tendency to be like, oh God, not that. And we really need to try to be present for whatever our client is dealing with in the most compassionate way possible.
Right.
So, questions here? Anything?
So I think it's a lot of it has to do with wording. Because even if you have, like you said, Tyrone, a bad reading for someone, it's more how you would approach the situation. I mean, not to sugarcoat it, but kind of maybe pull more cards to find a reason to remove yourself from that destiny, or how to strengthen yourself to get through it. So it's wording, really, right?
It's about, it's about the language you use and also their empowerment. Anytime you can take a reading, that starts out with what will happen and turn it into what do you need to do? Or what are your options? You've won, I think. And that's true when it comes to love or any other thing. There it is. And I would say, honestly, when it comes to a single person, making a prediction about love coming, I have no problem with that, And then the world is full of happy couples that I've predicted, and the children that have resulted from that I now read for, because I'm old. But when it comes to relationships that exist, I think avoiding predictions about the future and instead speaking to practical advice for the now is one of the best ways we can be helpful.
That's true.
Agreed.
Yeah. All right, my friends, we're going to go ahead and sign off YouTube. I want to thank you all so much, and thank you especially to our members for supporting this channel. Really appreciate you. I'll be back tomorrow with the Friday weekly wrap-up. I'll look forward to seeing you then.